Hello, everybody. I'm Curtis Coons, and with me is Victor Garcia. And you're watching episode 19 of two old guys talking about stuff nobody cares about. How are you doing, Victor?
I'm doing well. 19 episodes.
19 episodes. And we've got a different camera angle.
Yep.
Right there. We've got a different camera. They've mounted the camera. It's all part of Victor's effort to make me look shorter.
You're permanently mounted.
I'm permanently mounted. we're coming from Valley TV Production Studios.
I'm going to be slow on the switch. Hold on. I'm sorry, people. I'm slow on the switch today because it's new software. You're on.
Valley TV Productions. Are we just starting, or did we already? Was that part earlier on?
What's that?
The part we just did. We're towards episode 19. We're good.
Yeah.
And you can catch us on Real TV now on Facebook. Or I'm sorry, it's Meta now. Yeah, they're changing the name to Facebook, by the way. Did you know that?
Yes, I did know.
It's now Meta.
Yeah. I'm reserving comment.
No. That started just for college-age kids, but the group that's on now, they should have called it Metamucil.
I remember MySpace was bigger.
Because they're old.
Remember MySpace?
Yeah. Remember Craig? Craig's friend on MySpace?
Whenever you...
It was always like that.
Yeah.
He's turned, yeah. What are we talking about today, Victor?
Well, I actually was intrigued by B-list movies that were still considered now cult favorites. And a lot of folks our age will probably relate to this. And probably some of them won't know what I'm talking about, but I have remember the movie, 70s movie, Life of Brian. Mighty Python.
Loved it.
Life of Brian. Another one would be Mighty Python, Search of the Holy Grail.
That was Holy Grail was my favorite.
Was it?
Yeah. Then Life of Brian, and then Meaning of Life.
I didn't get into Meaning of Life as well, but Life of Brian was probably by far my favorite. In fact, I remember...
better than Holy Grail.
Oh, yeah. I remember looking at an interview with John Cleese, and was John Cleese, I think Michael Palin. Anyway, they were debating with this religious minister from England how this movie was so anti-religion. And John Cleese finally said, Have you seen the picture? You know, they don't call them movies. Have you seen the picture? Mm-hmm. And he said, no, I have not.
Yeah.
So he said, how can you come on national television and say that this movie is very anti-religion when you've never even seen the movie? The premise is that Brian is born the same night as Jesus.
On Christmas, I believe.
But one manger over.
Right.
And so the holy guy, the three wise men come walking in, and they give Brian's mother all these gifts, and then they leave, and then they figure out that they're in the wrong manger, so they come back and take them away. Take the gifts away. Yeah.
And his whole life, he was one step away, right?
Yeah, he was constantly being confused as Jesus, but he wasn't. He was Brian.
Right.
So I mean, and the movie depicts some really funny scenes of misinterpretations of things.
The most memorable scene for me in that movie is at the end, of course, when he's being crucified on the cross, and they're singing, "Always look on the bright side of life."
People don't realize what a great movie that was.
Always look on.
There was the Judean People's Front came to save him.
Yeah, exactly.
The Suicide Squad. They just stabbed themselves and died because they were the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, and it wasn't anti-religious. You know, anything that gets people talking about religion.
Right, exactly. I liked it. I liked the movie.
Yeah.
I thought it was really good. It was really humorous. Another movie that I had mentioned to you before we started, was John Ritter. Stay Tuned.
Oh, yeah.
Which he is obsessed with television.
Yeah.
And basically the devil comes and gives him this magic satellite dish that sucks him in, and he travels through different types of channels in different worlds. Like there's westerns, and then
trapped in hell, basically.
Trapped in hell, and he's transformed from one situation to another. And who else was in that movie?
Pam Dauber was in it, but I can't remember who played the devil. Was that the guy from Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
Yes.
Played the devil,
Yes.
the principal?
Yes. Yep.
What was his... Hey, that guy got in a little trouble a few years ago, didn't he? He was also in Beetlejuice.
A little bit.
Didn't he get in kind of an Uncle Ed type situation?
Was he in Beetlejuice?
Yeah. He was the guy that bought the house and remodeled it.
Oh, yeah.
Wanted to make condos. And
He wanted to buy the town.
Mr. Dietz.
Yeah.
Lydia's dad.
Lydia's dad.
But yeah.
Great cast.
Yeah, he played the devil. He played the devil in that movie.
That was a good movie. People should look that up.
John Ritter. He's got a deep history. His dad was Tex Ritter.
Yep.
Remember the
Jeffrey Jones, by the way.
Jeffrey Jones. Yeah, and Jeffrey Jones got in a lot of trouble a few years back. Was it underage boys or
something
underage
creepy.
in general? Something creepy.
Eugene Levy was in that movie.
Really?
He's been in everything.
Yeah, he has. And of course, he was in Second City with Kathleen. What's her name? Kathleen that played the mom on Beetlejuice. Jeffrey Jones's wife. Remember, Mrs. Dietz, the one that had no taste and did the ceramics.
Yeah, I can't remember her name.
She was most recently in Schitt's Creek. With Eugene Levy, and but they were all those Second City characters. One John Candy, Second City.
John Candy was Second City. I think Bill Murray started in Second City.
Brian Doyle did. I know Brian Doyle did, and I think we might have brought him on. But
Catherine O'Hara. Yeah,
who's great.
Yes, I love.
And then that whole mess of people are also in those movies, Waiting for Guffman and First at Show and The Mighty Wind.
Those are the ones that I'll tell you right now that I consider great movies of our time. Waiting for Guffman.
Yeah.
Great movie. So I love that movie. But we had Waiting for Guffman is one of my complete favorites. Oh, this camera is driving me crazy.
Which camera, mine or yours?
Mine. There we go. So, Waiting for Guffman is one of my favorite movies of all time. Best in Show.
Yeah.
But the Dog Show is really good. People need to go back and watch these things because you'll find out. If you watch it 2 or 3 times, you find out all the little different nuances through the movie that just make it a better movie than what you've seen.
Fred Willard he just died last couple of years, didn't he? Remember Fred Willard?
Oh yeah.
He was always in.
Yeah, great actor.
The guy that played Lenny and Squiggy on Laverne and Shirley.
Yeah.
He was always in a lot of them.
Yep. Catherine O'Hara's in all those. Yep. She's
for some reason Parker Posey.
Who
was kind of in a different age. She was 20 years younger than all the rest of them, but for some reason she was great.
In Best in Show,
yeah.
She was amazing. She was amazing in Best in Show.
Yeah.
Love that movie.
And Jane Lynch was on a couple of them, I think. Wasn't she in Best in Show? And who's the guy that's married to Jamie Lee Curtis? We've talked about him before. Christopher Guest.
Christopher Guest, yes.
Yeah.
Who used to do, during the writers' strike of the 70s, he was on Saturday Night Live with Billy Crystal. And they had the 2 New York City cops that would finish each other's sentences.
Yeah.
And
really like a spike through your eyeball. Like that.
Yeah, so they got one of them, their ball peen hammers. Yeah, ball peen hammer.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. But you know what? People don't realize that a lot of people started, not just from Second City, but they started doing commercials early in their career. And you talked about weird, funky commercials.
Yeah, weird commercials from the 70s. There's a lot of strange stuff. Of course, there's weird commercials now. I saw the other one today. We were talking about Schitt's Creek. The gal that played Eugene Levy and Kathleen O'Hara's daughter, she's on a commercial now for some kind of birth control thing or whatever. She's, welcome to my vagina. And they show this entry, the pink entry, and welcome to my vagina. So the rules here: I keep it clean, no unprotected sex, 10 guys at a time max. That's like, what the hell? It's a weird commercial.
Eugene Levy's real daughter is in the show.
Yeah, but she doesn't play his daughter. His son plays his son. His daughter plays the cafe lady.
Oh, yeah. Which is so weird. So, like, why didn't you...
Yeah.
But anyway, the girl that plays his daughter, I think, is beautiful.
Yeah.
And I don't know her name. That's my problem. I don't know her name.
But she has a vagina that 10 guys, I guess, max at a time. That's what it said.
I do like that show.
Yeah.
I think
I like the commercial. Victor, that show really didn't take off till about the 4th season. It was on its way. They'd already decided not to do it anymore when it took off huge. Isn't that bizarre?
If I want to say that there was a lot of shows like that didn't take off until later seasons. I told you,
It's kind of when they get into syndication.
I started watching Seinfeld again from the season 1, and those first few episodes, it's like that was kind of rough to get through. I mean, they were funny, but their characters were different. Because in the older shows, I do know that George's character it's basically Larry David, but the actor that played it was trying to go for more of a Woody Allen.
He even sounded like doing a Woody Allen impression.
To do
neurotic.
The neurotic, and if you notice the early episode 1 and 2, Kramer's a completely different character. He's like real quiet and kind of he'd go like, what? It's completely different.
Cosmo.
So and then Elaine, I don't think has ever changed. I think her character was basically, except I didn't like it when they were dating there for a minute.
Yeah.
It kind of like set it apart from the rest of it.
Shows like that started out on a network, ABC, NBC, CBS, shows like that survived that, and then also when they became syndication, it just kind of grew. Shows like Schitt's Creek, which I do not believe was a network show, was it? It was like
it was a Netflix. It was Netflix from the start.
Those that are on that, and then they become syndicated, and then they start showing in reruns on ABC, CBS. A lot of time, that's when they get the popularity. People are actually exposed to them. Because there's still a lot of people out there, we don't want to believe it, but there are a lot of people out there that don't have Netflix, HBO Max, all that kind of stuff.
Which is, mine comes on my cable.
Right.
I'm paying for it. But I'm paying a lot of money for my basic cable, which I only have HBO and Showtime. But then I get the Netflix. But I have the apps where I can pay separately for all these different, like Disney, and we have to pay separately for that. But like Hulu, I thought was free with us. It's not part of our app. But Netflix comes in. There's another one that is Peacock, which is at BC.
Yeah, and it's free.
It's free, but man, it's amazing. I love Peacock, which is because it shows
Saturday Night Live.
A lot of the 30 Rock episodes,
Yeah.
which is one of my favorite things in the world.
Yeah, the evolution of that, because a lot of our show and what we talk about is stuff from the 70s, how it was then, how it was now. When we were kids, availability of, if you liked a show, you watched the show and you really liked it, you had to watch it and pay attention because you did not have the ability to get it again. Now, shows like on Sunday nights, they would have, and I can't remember if it was ABC. I think it was ABC. They had this revolving series. It was, help me out, McCloud, Dennis Weaver. What was the one with Rock Hudson and Susan? What was it? It was, God help us out here. But Columbo, I think, was one of them.
Yep.
But there was these revolving shows. And one week it'd be the show with Rock Hudson. The next week it'd be Columbo. I believe it was Columbo. Please don't hate me if I'm wrong. But it was like the ABC Mystery of the Week or something like that. But it was
it was a detective show.
And I believe it was on after Disney, so it must have been ABC. It might have been ABC, God. But we love those shows.
McMillan and Wife.
McMillan and Wife, yeah, exactly. But there was three of them. There was McMillan and Wife, there was McCloud, which is Dennis Weaver, and I can't remember that.
Was it Cannon?
No, Cannon was
Cannon was CBS, I remember that.
And that was a bizarre show. But anyway,
if I die in a car wreck, net passively, which is just hypothetical. If someone goes through my search engine on my phone, they're going to go, what in the world?
Yeah, because you're looking at all this stuff up. What
Rock Hudson movie.
Why are you looking at Rock Hudson? Hey.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm just saying he's looking up Rock Hudson movies.
Yeah, back when I was married, I'd say, Victor, if something were to happen to me, I want you to break into my house and delete everything on my computer. Now I don't give a shit. I'm not married anymore. But anyway, back then the point is, like, for example, Wizard of Oz, they'd show it twice a year. And everybody would know Wizard of Oz was going to air, so we'd make time to, the
Sit in front of the
Snoopy.
TV and wait.
Yeah, the Snoopy shows. Now then, they had Laserdisc. Remember that?
Yeah.
And you could buy movies on Laserdisc, and then that was a very short-lived technology. Even though I actually think you can still get them.
You can actually, in fact.
Yeah, you can still get them, but then all of a sudden there was this battle, Beta and VHS, and Beta I believe was Sony, wasn't it? And VHS was
everybody else.
VHS opened out. So it was these tapes, which these young kids now would think tapes.
Yeah.
It was actually a tape, yay size. Beta was a little smaller. And Beta was so much more quality. Remember that? Because it was Sony. It was so much more
I got
quality.
a story behind that.
But they got into a battle, and basically, what cost Beta, what phased Beta out was they were proprietary on their own stuff. VHS said, "Hey, everybody can put it on our format." So you could find something that was a Beta, was a Sony product. You could actually find that on VHS, but you couldn't find all the VHS stuff on Sony.
Right.
And those players back then, $1,000,
Yeah.
$1,000, but you could actually have a TV show airing on channel 4, 5, or 9, or 41, and you could tape it. And then that technology stuck around for several years, and then what knocked them out, of course, was DVD. Right.
Well, let me tell you a brief story about Beta. Beta was a much higher quality, way better. Actually, the news organizations developed something called Beta SP.
I remember that.
And all the news organizations shot in Beta SP because the quality was better. In fact, when a lot of the studios were opening up, there were two versions you could get. Now, the Beta SP were super expensive.
Yeah.
But you could also get something called SVHS, Super VHS. And it wouldn't play in a traditional VCR. You had to play it in a Super VHS machine.
Oh.
In the studio I worked in for the college, when that was put in, and I would say that was put in '94, the studio was completed, they went completely SVHS. In which, at the time I think you could have done one or the other, but SVHS was just by thousands and thousands of dollars cheaper. The studio went to SVHS, but the Beta SP, every news organization carried Beta SP cameras, which were super pricey back in the day. I mean, they were super pricey. And the VHS ones, well, before that was 3/4 inch, where you carried the big VTR over your shoulder.
Yeah.
You basically had 40 pounds here, 30 pounds here, and then if you wanted to carry the battery belt, which would last about 3 or 4 hours, strapped around your waist, and that weighed another like 30, 40 pounds.
Think about that now. What would, and I do remember. Don't you remember going into electronics store? And back then we had Radio Shack, and then Radio Shack got hurt by World Radio.
I remember, yeah.
Which World Radio got knocked out by Circuit City, which Circuit City got knocked out by Best Buy, and now Best Buy is kind of being knocked out by online stuff. Amazon online. Yeah. So that was a progressive video store. But you'd go into a video store, and you'd say, okay, I want to record movies. And then so if you want to record movies, you might want to buy a Beta player. If you came into the video store and got in and asked, I want to be able to watch movies that are out there, they'd say, oh, you need to buy VHS. Remember, it was kind of depending on what you want. If you wanted to record things, they wanted you to buy the Beta. So.
The creation of the video stores, which a lot of people, mom and pop, opened up video stores.
Yeah.
Video rental. There was that little one in Harrisonville.
No, got knocked out.
You could go in there and rent a VCR player only, and take it home and watch movies. But my point is like when they got knocked out by the big guy, which was
Blockbuster.
Blockbuster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you did
By the way, I got a bill the other day. I still owe $5 to Blockbuster for not rewinding.
I tell you what, I forgot to return a movie.
I was thinking about Blockbuster card.
Yeah, and I think it was Ocean's 11.
That was a while back.
And so it was the one with the first one that came out with the modern cast, George Clooney and them. Anyway, so they sent me a letter that I owed them $110 for that movie because I never returned it. I was like, $110.
Yeah.
What am I paying the residuals for that for their actors?
Isn't that nuts? Isn't that nuts?
I never paid it.
Think about that now, though. Isn't that nuts? But Blockbusters were huge.
Oh, yeah.
They were everywhere. I don't know how many of them there were in Kansas City. Just a bunch. Even Belton had one. Huge.
Everybody. And they were everywhere. Yeah. But it's so funny that $100 for a VHS movie.
Yeah.
Which I couldn't remember when I bought it.
I remember going into Blockbuster. They were closing out. It was when the big hit was happening. They were selling everything. And I'd give them a Blockbuster card. Was going to buy movies. You could buy. They were getting rid of even their shelving. So it's showing up on here. You still owe $12. And I'm like, I'm going to buy $40 worth of your movies. Let's just forget it. Yeah, well, they may come after you later. I said, yeah, let them. Let them. I'm a big reason.
Who owned that?
I don't know, but I'm a big reason as to why Blockbuster's not around anymore.
I
can't wait. I knew it at one time.
Google it. Just ask Siri.
Who owned Blockbuster?
Yeah, who was the parent?
Serial go. Blockbuster?
Seriously, who owned it?
Who owned Blockbuster Video?
Blockbuster's parent organization is Viacom.
Is that who you were thinking? No. It was an individual.
No, it was a group of people. I'm not gonna. I shouldn't say it now because but I was under the impression that the Mormon Church owned it at one time.
Huh. That's something.
That's what I was in.
And I believe there's one Blockbuster left in the world. Did you know that? There's a show called The Last Blockbuster and everything.
Well, how dumb is that?
I don't know. Yeah. But you know what's odd? It's kind of like the evolution of accessibility to movies. And we had a lot of movies back then that came out when we were kids that originally weren't available in any kind of format that you could go rent them. You couldn't. Like Young Frankenstein and Blazing Saddles, I'm sure were out on Laserdisc, but who could afford a $1,000 Laserdisc?
You know what? My brother, Adrian, I lived with them for a long time, even his wife at the time, and he went and invested in the Laserdisc players.
Yeah. Does he still have it?
I think he does. Actually, I can tell you right now he has that. And he has probably a stack of about 25 or 30 movies on Laserdisc. I remember the one that he bought first was Rocky.
Yeah.
And so my cousin came over and hooked up his VCR to that and recorded it on VHS.
Isn't that crazy?
And so you could do that back then.
Yeah.
And
Laserdisc was high quality.
They came out with the code.
Yeah.
The code that if you tried to dub a VHS movie from like a Blockbuster or something, the picture would kind of fade in and out if you were trying to record it. But you know what? I had access to high-tech equipment back in the day because I worked for the college, and I was able to actually circumvent some of that stuff. So, not to I'm not going to tell you which one, so then I'll get sued. But they came up with some really ingenious ways to prevent you from copying movies.
Yeah,
interesting stuff.
And who came up with the top-loading VCR? Remember that?
Yeah.
Kids your little kids always put pennies in it and shit like that. Always run the, you know what I mean? People would sit there with the top open all the time to put it in and it'd go down. But
the original remote had this hold on. Hold on, let me find something. I was trying to find a prop. Like this long string that went, on cord that you would sit across from the room. Yeah. And that was your remote. Yeah.
Of course, the remotes when we were kids was us.
Yeah.
You had to say, get up, turn channel 4. Get up, turn channel 4. Get up, turn it down just a little. No, wait, turn up. Okay, right there.
Prices, and the prices that you're right about the prices back then.
No, VCRs were ridiculous. My grandmother went to this little village retirement community in Drexel.
Found it.
When I was a kid. Retirement community. And I bought her a VCR. I worked for Sound Spectrum. Mm-hmm. Remember?
I-70 Nolan Road.
I-70 Nolan Road and Heavenly Hayloft, the Wild Woodies. I-70 Nolan Road. I did those commercials for years. But They had it. Larry had a closeout. He had some stuff that overstock or whatever, and they had a VCR for like $200, which at that time, that was dirt cheap. I mean, they were like $800 back then.
I found them. I found the prices.
And I bought this VCR for my grandma, and on Christmas, I gave my grandma this VCR, and she's like, I can't accept that. She goes, those things are expensive. She goes, plus I don't know how to use it. I said, I'll show you how to use it. Just put a tape in, hit this red button if it's a show you like. I'd accept. And I said, Grandma, I was less than $50. Don't worry about it. Blah, blah. I lied to her because I paid $200. So I come out and visit her like a month later, and she goes, I've had trouble using it, but another guy knew how to use it in there and show me how to. She goes, but here, I got you. And she gave me $300. I go, what's this for? She goes, I got 6 other people that want you to get the VCR for $50.
That's one grandma.
Yeah, that's one grandma. Yeah. So anyway, I had to come clean on the cost of the VCR.
So interesting facts.
Okay.
Okay, interesting facts would be that nearly $1,500 top retail price for a VCR back in the 80s. Yeah. And the average, later in the 80s, it had fallen between $200 and $400.
Wow.
For a VCR. And you know what? The blank, you could get blank tapes, but they were still pricey.
Yeah,
the blank tapes
were pricey.
Yeah.
And you didn't, here's the thing though, we didn't own the movies. You didn't go out and buy a movie because it was $119, $129. But I tell you, when movies were suddenly became down to the price where you could buy them was when E.T. was released. Because when E.T. came out on video, everybody had seen it, but everybody also wanted to own it and watch it repeatedly. And I think it got down below $100, E.T., so everybody actually bought the E.T. movie. You remember that?
Yeah, I'm looking up here. So when VHS dropped on the home theater scene in 1977.
Oh, wow.
1977. Average cost for VCR retail between $1,000 and $1,400.
And we really, financially, we didn't have access to that.
No. I mean, some people did, I'm sure, but, yeah. $1,400. Hold on, let me find up another interesting fact here.
It'd be interesting to see what the movies were. I think when the movies got down to $89, remember suddenly sometime the movies got down to $89, everybody go, that's almost free. That's almost free for a movie. Now you can buy one new release for $20.
So when DVDs came out, the average player, they're saying 1997 is when it kind of hit the
okay.
It says, released in 1997, the DVD quickly rose to prominence after the popularity from VHS kind of dropped. Average cost between $700 and $1,200 for a DVD player.
Ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. Yeah.
I had, now, kind of a similar technology, but not exactly, the CD, which is the same, it looks exactly like the DVD, right?
Yeah.
When the CD came out, I had a buddy that owned a video store over in Overland Park, and he was a friend of Eric's. Remember Eric?
Mm-hmm.
Friend of Eric's. And we had a mutual friend, Bob Sloan. But anyway, they had these CDs had first come out. And at Recovery Sales Outlet, I bought a car stereo that was a CD player. Skipped like crazy. All the time you drive down the road, hit a bump, and skip. Back then.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
But here I had a CD player in my car, not a cassette or a 8-track. Had the CD player, but it didn't have any CDs. They were very little, just a handful available out there. And his buddy that owned the video store says, I can get you a copy of Live Bullet. Now, he says, all the printing on it is in Japanese. All the printing's in Japanese. It doesn't say Live Bullets in Japanese, but it has the image box, but it's actual recording. All the words are in English, everything, but I can get you a Live Bullet. $500. I said, get me that Live Bullet. I spent $500 on a Live Bullet. Honest to God. Now, isn't that nuts?
It says that basically, well, this is dated 1980s. Average cost for a CD player, $1,000.
Yeah. That's CD. That's not video. That's audio.
That's a CD player.
Yeah. I've still got that Bob Seger. CD. And the thing I liked about it, I wore out several 8-tracks of Live Bullets. I wore out several cassettes. I burned the needle through several albums of Live Bullet, but I never wore out that Live Bullet CD. That's the thing about it. But don't you feel, Victor, when you listen to a CD, don't you miss something from the album sound? To you,
The crackling?
that crackling and all that, just that raw. I miss it.
I can
miss
tell
the
you when
album
I was working at Perkins as a server, and I had a roommate, Rob, my roommate Rob.
I do.
Okay, so he got the Joshua Tree
Yeah.
CD,
You too.
and he had a CD player. He brought it to the apartment, and I listened to that on headphones, and it was the best sounding quality I had ever heard in my life.
Yes.
I mean, and I worked in college radio, and we had these little carts that looked like 8-tracks. They called them carts, and you have each song. Well, one had one song on it, but the quality of that CD in my headphones was just, it completely blew me away. That it was just amazing. I mean, I was just floored at the quality, and I had worked in radio stations where, I mean, that quality was pretty goddamn good. And listening to really high-end headphones.
Well, it's flawless.
Yeah.
But sometimes flawless takes away the character of the song. You know, I like that crackle. I like that little crackle.
I
like
never
that.
liked the crackle.
Yeah,
I don't.
That's what made KY102 kind of big in the Kansas City area. They would put an album on and play the whole damn side.
Yeah.
And then Von Mack would come over after the song had ended 3 or 4 minutes earlier, and you hear and Von Mack, I'm back. Run out of things, I'll play the other side. Here's the other side.
Von Mack, yeah. One of my favorites.
Let's
Growing
take
up.
it back. Talking about retro stuff. Let's take it back to the 70s. I've got one of them memories, and I don't even know if it's accurate, but this is what I remember. Getting ready my first day of school. Back then we didn't have kindergarten, just first grade. So we're talking about probably 69. You know, August, September of 69. And we had a one of them giant stereos, you know.
Oh, yeah,
wooden-
yeah, like
what
the-
they call
the-
a console or whatever. Is that a console stereo?
Yeah,
Giant.
it was like a big piece of furniture that sat in
And
a
it was
corner.
turned
of the
on,
house.
and it was AM, of course, and we were listening to WHB. And I remember the song that was playing, One is the Loneliest Number. And we could Google, I may be wrong, because it was One is the Loneliest Number by...
Chicago. Oh,
no,
wait.
no, Three Dog Night.
Three Dog Night, yes. Yeah.
And anyway, one is the loneliest number, and then the song would end, and it'd go, instant replay,
I remember
and
that.
play the exact song back. Now, can you imagine doing that? And then also, they would go, WHB dial 71, hit after hit after hit after. Well, that was hit after hit. It's the same damn hit.
Yeah, I remember.
Back to back.
I remember the big time to listen to WHB would be Christmas time.
Oh yeah.
Because they play all the Christmas line. You know what the one that we always waited for?
Which one?
The Chipmunks.
Yeah.
Yeah. We always waited for the Chipmunk song to come on. And my brother, Adrian, would sit with the portable tape recorder. You know, you hit play and record at the same time. And
One is the loneliest number, Three Dog Night.
He would sit there and record the radio.
Because he had the little... Oh, I remember doing that.
You know, doing that. So we could listen to the same song over and over again. You know, he would play that constantly. Three Dog Night, one of those numbers, I'm going to say 1970, 71.
When was One is the Loneliest Number by Three Dog Night released?
I'm going to say 1971. 71's my guess, without looking.
April 27th of 69.
69.
Well, see, I started school in 69, so I knew it had to be 69, but I remember getting around in the morning and that song playing. But I remember it playing, and then they did instant replay.
Let me, my earliest memory of getting around for school would be my sister Barbara. She got into kind of like rock music. And she got Chicago Transit Authority. Remember that?
Now,
It's Chicago now.
it's Chicago, yeah.
Yeah, because when they first came out, their name was Chicago Transit Authority.
And they've had like 60 albums or something.
Yeah,
so,
well, this was like one of the early, first or second album. And she would play that in her room. and I could hear that music in my head. To this day, I could still hear that music in my head because she would play that quite a bit. She'd like, listen to that, Tower of Power. She got into some jazz stuff too, but I mean, Tower of Power was like this instrumental group that was just amazing back in the day, and I think they're still around. I still think they still play, but she listened to some of the our eclectic music of that time. And then
I don't remember them, Victor.
You walk into another room, and my brothers are listening to pop music. You know, that's
your brothers were listening to pop music. See, I would have thought your brothers would have been rock and roll.
WHB.
Oh, no kidding.
They listened to that, and my sister Barbara was the kind of the rocker at the time.
Well, true. You know, I have two older sisters.
She change?
Two older sisters. I've got Kara, 6 years older than me, and I've got Trudy, that's 5 years older than me. And for the most part, Kara was the leader on music. Trudy and I were just kind of followers and watched what she played. But she played that Beach Boys album from the '60s. Remember that? There was like came out about '69.
Beach Boys.
Beach Boys. And she had that Three Dog Night album that had the woman giving birth on the front. Have you ever seen that?
I don't.
And they banned it. They had the woman have it spread eagle. And the woman's got a pig face, and it was called something like, and I'm going straight from memory, Hard Labor or Hard Delivery or something like that. And then they pulled the album. Kara had the original, and they pulled the album, and they had it with a giant Band-Aid on the cover, so you couldn't see the woman giving birth to the album. But all the doctors that were looking had this shock look, and the woman had a pig face. It was called Hard Labor or something like that.
Oh.
But she played that. But Kara got me into a lot of music. Bread. She had the song "The Best of Bread," and one time when I was young, I said, "What do you want for your birthday?" And her birthday's a week before. Did you find it?
Found it. Yep.
Show a picture of it, dude. Show a picture of the camera. The hard. Is it with the Band-Aid? You got it with the Band-Aid?
No, there's a record.
Yeah, record with a Band-Aid.
Yeah,
but it had a one with a pig face, if I remember right. And it was crude because it was right straight ass beaver shot of that woman. There it is. Yeah, Kara had that album, but hers had the Band-Aid on it. Kara had the Band-Aid on it.
Can you see that? Oh well.
Oh my God, it's funny.
That's it. In fact,
but
there is. Yeah.
One time she wanted me. She said,
"There's the Band-Aid one."
I said, "What would you like for your birthday?" And she was young, and she thought, "I'd like an album if you could get Rolling Stones' Hot Rocks." But that was the junk. She kind of got me into music. I was kind of more of a country. Listen to country because I was from Freeman. You know,
that's no excuse.
It's still an excuse. Johnny Paycheck, Johnny Cash, all the Johnnies.
I did like Johnny Cash as growing up. My dad got me. He got me the album with "Walk the Line" on it. I don't remember what.
Because you're mine.
He got me that album because I liked Johnny Cash as a kid, and my brothers and sisters would tease me about being a Johnny Cash fan, but I loved it.
Mr. Hayden made fun of me because I like Johnny Cash. He goes, there's only like. He said, "There's only like 3 chords they do."
Who cares? He's good. The guy's amazing. Who cares?
He made fun of me.
Who cares?
I saw Johnny Cash in concert. Me and Julie Farr and several people went on, and they had the Johnny Cash Super Rally. It was a Youth for Christ thing. Remember that? And it was Johnny. Arrowhead Stadium had just opened up. I don't even think they played a football game. I'm not kidding you. I can't make this up. Johnny Cash got on a religious kick. He got on a religious kick. I'm serious. And he filled up Arrowhead Stadium. And it was before they'd even opened it up to a Chiefs game yet. So it was that time frame where Arrowhead had been built. And we got listened to Johnny Cash and June Carter. Of course, he wouldn't play any of his risque songs. They were all religious. Whoa,
I woke up this morning and had a beer.
Jesus. And it was great. And I took my grandma Blanche. This is my dad's dad. But anyway, we and the other act that opened for him, Pat Boone. I can't make this shit up, Victor.
Yeah, he did go religious.
Oh my God! But yeah, he went. Johnny Cash went through this really, really religious thing in the '70s. Yeah, he was really, really into drugs. They were really, really religious.
Oh yeah.
We got friends like that too.
It's so weird that you mentioned Julie Farr because she was with me, myself, Robert Kinney, and this girl that I was seeing at the time. She was from Olathe. I can't remember the same life, but Lisa.
Where'd you go?
We went to the Super Bowl of Rock and Roll. We saw.
Well, years later, Julie went to the Super Rally.
We saw Journey, April Wine, Kenny Loggins, and the Doobie Brothers. in one show.
Oh my God!
So she was with us that night. That was a fun night. But yeah, I can't imagine. Now, I was a big Johnny Cash fan, so I can't imagine going to that show that you went to.
Yeah. Yeah, with my grandma Blanche, by the way. You got to throw that in there, and Nellie Mickelson, all the people from Freeman.
Well, you mentioned Pat Boone. I'm there.
You had me at Pat Boone.
People Google him.
And there were other people there, but they were so lesser stars than Johnny Cash and June Carter and Pat Boone. I don't even remember who they were.
Remember Pat Boone doing those infomercials for religious, like he was peddling like Bibles or something?
Pat Boone. But Julie is married to this guy named Norm, and they're a blast. They're a fun couple, and they hang around with Terry and Todd Harrison, Terry Murphy, Todd Harrison. So they're a blast. But Julie's brother, Tony, and I went out Friday night, went karaoke and everything. I don't know if do you remember Tony? Now,
of course I remember Tony.
Was he 1 year behind you?
No, he was. I think I was a junior, and he was a freshman.
Yeah, 2 or 3. Anyway, we had a blast. We were talking about old Freeman times and stuff like that.
Pat Boone. I'm looking up Pat Boone.
Oh my! I bet he's dead. He's either dead or he's 90. Because this was in the 70s. This is 50 years ago we're talking about when I saw him.
I think he's still alive.
No. Got to be 1 million years old. He was in that movie Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Yep.
And I remember him speaking. Okay, I do remember this.
He's 87.
He got up there and he says, You probably think I'm not religious. You saw me in Journey to the Center of the Earth. Like that was a big risque movie. You saw me in Journey to the Center of the Earth, but I found God. I'm like, Pat Boone.
Didn't know he was looking for him. Didn't know he was looking.
Yeah, we're
Pat Boone, Journey to the Center. Yep. State Fair. Who was in that?
Hey, probably has performed at many a State Fair since that movie.
He was in April Love.
Pat Boone.
There's one here I can't even mention because it starts with the F word. He was in that.
What?
2005.
Well, that's got to be some kind of a parody movie or something. That's crazy.
It shows that he was in it.
Yeah, we got way off track on talking about cult movies.
I'm kind of shocked by his filmography.
Pat Boone.
Pat Boone, yeah. He was in a movie with a really bad name.
There were a lot of them guys, kind of the Pat Boone genre, let's call it. There were a lot of them guys that were on commercials and stuff like that, and I always wondered, how'd they get, what was it they got famous for? One of them was Jimmy Dean, Jimmy Dean Sausage, right?
Yes. Yep.
He was
a singer.
Yeah, he was a singer, and remember his big hit? Wasn't it Big John? Big John, Big John.
Yeah, he was
Big Bad John.
He was in like a
Big
TV
John.
series too. He was like TV series or movies he did more than just pedal sausage.
I'm getting a little loopy. The coffee's kicked in. But how many minutes have we gone on this one?
We've got about 3 minutes left of the show. So 3 minutes left. So we can start.
Well, I apologize for coughing and itching and scratching, but I'll tell you what.
I apologize for your story about Pat Boone.
Pat Boone, but it was called. Look it up, Google it. The Johnny Cash Super Rally. Johnny Cash Super Rally, and it was Youth for Christ put it on. I was big into Youth for Christ back then. Stop it. Victor's making a bad gesture.
I know why you were in that group. For some reason, I got into that group. Chicks.
You want the hot chicks, go to Youth for Christ. Youth for Christ is well. The thing I remember about Youth for Christ, they had the Circle C Ranch. Remember out in Kansas? I was a counselor. Sorry. Stop. I was a counselor.
You were a counselor.
I was a counselor. I got too old. Got too old to be a youth. You're not a youth anymore. You need to be a counselor.
You were a counselor for youth. There's some problems. I see where some wrong turns were made by a lot of our youth.
But the thing, it was a Reverend Metzger. Remember Metzger?
Oh, yeah.
But anyway,
yeah.
Our big thing for years was raising money we wanted to get the word out. So we raise some money for a TV station. So we for years went door to door, called and raising money, had all these rides, and find all these hundreds of people, raise over TV station. So they start the TV station, it was Channel 62. They started, then he died and his son sold it, I think.
Channel 50.
Was it 60? I thought it was 50. I thought it was 62.
It was KYFC.
I think 50 became later. I think 62 was the original one, but I don't know.
It was there on. I was there off of Rainbow Boulevard.
Yeah, right around Rainbow Boulevard, which was where they'd have their. It was in the same building. They'd have their giant Youth for Christ rallies and stuff.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, they raised all this money and then it sold, became a commercial radio station.
It burned. It actually caught fire one time. It caught fire and then they replaced everything.
Lightning strike it, did it? I'm sorry.
Fire. But yeah, that was. I remember going to some of those events, and I went to Circle C Ranch. Oh, it was me and Kevin McDowell went there, and I met a girl.
No.
From Cameron, Missouri, and actually hung out with her a few times after that. So, because my brother lived in. He lived in Liberty, but his wife at the time, her family was from one of those small towns up by Cameron. So they took me up and dropped me off at Pizza Hut or something, and I would hang out with this girl for a few hours, and then they'd come back and pick me up. So
that's so
interesting stuff.
We want to go full circle on this show. Youth for Christ. The guy that got me into it, of course, was Jeff Fellers. I really thank him for it. Jeffrey.
Jeffrey and I used to go to Yankee Royals games together. Yeah. I was a big Yankee fan.
Yeah, he lived with me in Hawaii. He come over and actually, I told 100 people back here, hey, you know how to come visit me. Why? Jeff actually come over there and live with me. The blast. Jeff's a blast. But Jeff got me into Youth for Christ, which is probably the best thing I ever happened in my life. Kind of got me through back with making faces. Anyway, but at a Youth for Christ rally, we were raising money for that TV station. I met a girl named Connie Kukul. So her initials were like CK. I'm CK, Curtis Good. So Connie Kukul. And we got to talking. And then when I got my driver's license, I actually started dating her. She lived up in Kansas City, Kansas. But then she's the one that said, do you know what Rocky Horror Picture Show is? No. And we started going to the Bijou Theater in Westport. And we probably saw it 25, 30 times together. But you want to go full circle on cult movies, that's the end of this episode. Isn't that cool?
Rocky Horror Picture Show. Still the original.
I know. Yeah, the original one.
Yeah.
Anything else after that is
no. I think I've done like a couple of something similar, but it's not the same.
Well, the sequel, Aftershock, I think it was called, was absolutely horrible.
Yeah. Nothing beats the same.
Absolutely horrible.
Okay.
Anyway, this has been episode, what are we, 19?
19.
Episode 19, I'm Curtis Coons, Victor Garcia. We were coming from you from Valley TV Production Studios today. Check us out on Real TV Now.
And share it.
Sharing it's important. How many views are we up to? About 5,000 or so?
We're a little over 5,000, yes.
How many?
A little over 5,000 views.
Wow. And we've done this about a month, haven't we?
Let's do this like you raised money for
that's right.
A TV station.
From your heart. I want you to share and like us. And if you've got a product to sell, hell, we'll pitch it. I feel it, Victor, within me. It's a psychosis for me, because before I got heavy into Youth for Christ, I was with the Ladies Auxiliary VFW would always talk me into going to sell Buddy Poppies. Remember that on Veterans Day? I was the #1 Buddy Poppy donation fundraiser kid.
Got involved with all these organizations.
Yeah, Mrs. Teeman, the second grade teacher at Midway, would take me around, drop my garden city. She goes, that block right there. We can milk him people out some Buddy Poppy money. No, she wasn't like that. She was great. She wasn't my teacher. I had Mrs. Little, but
okay.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Victor wants to say bye. Tune in again next time, and I'll wear a different shirt. And check us out. This has been episode 19 of Two Old Guys Talking About Stuff nobody cares about.